So this, if the top country in the world, economy, the president has a 747 on his table, that should tell you something. That aviation, it is the mover of everything, with businessmen, goods, tourism. Once, if things shut down, if aviation shuts down, that economy is at a standstill. And now it is us to show the importance of aviation to not only the politicians, but to our respective friends, and understand that we are a critical unit in driving the economy. And to further enhance the point, most of the pictures of President Trump, another one, America first, but what the aircraft is written there, America first. Then let's go to another one, very critical, which is very relevant to what we're doing right now. You remember like 2-3 months ago, the US economy, they had a shutdown between the politicians, the Republicans and the Democrats. And one of the things, the importance of discussion or roundtable discussions, their vice president, before he could give a presser on the impacts of the economy on aviation, I can read it here so you can get my point. It says here, according to the Fox News, the J.D. Vance speaks after a roundtable on shutdown on impact of aviation. So basically, before these politicians, the top people in the world speak, they have a discussion like this, where you call all the critical stakeholders. And in here, I actually Googled who was there. They had their Minister of Transport. They had the Workers' Union, the Pilots' Union. They had the CEO's representative. So what you are doing today is very, very important. You should be encouraged, and it is the way forward. This is the trend. I've had a lot of people say, what are the latest trends? These are the latest trends. We must be, our discussions must be relevant to the day's events. And so that is how I wanted to bring up the role of engineering in the beginning. Another thing, also, I'm sure you have seen in the news, when most of these world leaders travel, one of the greatest trade negotiation and diplomacy is aircraft purchases, whether military or civilian. That is how important aviation is. Just yesterday, the Indian government has now changed from Airbus. They have said they want to buy Boeing. Why? They want to reduce their trade deficit. They want to ease the trade negotiations. You understand? So aircraft purchases can be a great diplomatic tool, and can be a trading item to negotiate. And I'll come back to that later. So that is why I was showing you. Another thing, engineers are in the helm of airline operations and airline management. The Ethiopian, our neighbor here, he started, Mr. Memphis, he joined as an associate engineer. I don't know whether that means he had no skill, but he is an engineer. But his engineering background is what made him, and he has risen all the way to the CEO position. Another one, the German guy, that Casper. Another reason why engineering is important and you should be encouraged, and is the hiring of the CEO of Boeing was a big contentious issue. They have had accountants, and that's why they had all these problems about like that 737, that the nose diving, all those things. So this time the hiring of the CEO was an engineering requirement was mandatory. It's no longer about just the qualification of accounting. These days, AI can do the accounting. Engineering is a role. You can transition yourself into management. That is what I would like to encourage the young engineers. Now I'll I'm here primarily to talk about the restructuring and revival plan of Kenya Airways. One of the greatest challenges that we had when I was in the union, or being in the union, is how do you revive the airline? How do you revive Kenya Airways? Because if you look at even from every single speaker here is always saying, how do you entice the youth into entering this market? How do you sustain the jobs? How do you keep? You can only encourage people to become aeronautical engineers if they can see a future. But if the headlines every day are shutdowns, parts missing, all the negative, it really discourages the young engineers. To motivate them, the only way to motivate them is to make sure that our airline is functioning at the best standard possible. And we cannot use Ethiopian. We have to use Delta or Lufthansa as our standard. We cannot use our neighbor here. That one is not good. We must go for the highest possible standard. So in case we fall, then we fall the level of Ethiopia. So one of the greatest mystery of how do we solve the problem of Kenya Airways. And one day we were sitting in a meeting, and I always like to have this aircraft in front of you. And I knew all my life, if you want to find a solution to a problem, then the solution must be simple. But if it becomes difficult, then you're in the wrong path. That's the truth. So I started drawing an aircraft. So I started asking myself, wait a minute, I could hear this person is complaining, this one is complaining. And so I decided to draw the aircraft and split it. And let us see who actually is in the aircraft. Because he who is in the aircraft, or what we carry, there lies the answer. So what is in the aircraft? If you look at the front, we have a pilot. We have a pilot here. That's a technical skill. The person who dispatched the aircraft is an engineer. That's an engineering skill. So I wrote that down. Then who sits in front? We have got business. So these are businessmen. And for Kenya, and one of the things, we should always start working from home. And I'll tell you why, because the Ethiopian Airlines is having that problem now. Who is in our business class in Kenya? We've got UN officials, we've got businessmen. All government officials now have to fly KQ from the president all the way to an MCA. So we have got tourists, we've got students, merchants. So the top, if you cut the aircraft cross-section, you'll be able to see those people. Then at the bottom, we have cargo. There is fish, there is meats, then we have horticulture, we have got flowers, we have got people are trading phones, goods, some going to West Africa. And then God gave me another vision. What brings us money as a country? Guess what? They're right there in the aircraft. The number one foreign exchange earner before remittance came in has always been the transport sector. Engineers, I think you can confirm to me. Transport meaning air, rail, and road. So that's a technical skill. So I was like, I quoted the revenues, and as we said, data driven. The revenues of the air, for the transport sector there. Then what else? Tourism brings us money. Horticulture. And that is the basis of this conversation. It is as simple as that. The rest is just now, you can go to the next slide. Next. Just, it's okay, you don't have to move. Just for me to have even come here, one of the things that I've done in the past, and it's taken me the journey, is to ensure, as I was saying, to ensure that what we propose, we put it in a manifesto. And one of the things that I made sure is to sell the idea to both the competing Azimio and the other Kenya Kwanza camp. And the ones who took it was Kenya Kwanza. Because I knew for sure, if you don't put yourself in a manifesto of a government, they will never allocate time or resources in that sector. So even as an engineering body, you must ensure that that is something, that's one of your components. Just like the LSK has done. They are always, whenever there's a constitutional or any change, you will always find lawyers in every board. You might even find there are some who in your board. They have put themselves in every single board. But engineers and pilots, and there we are a little bit behind. So you must be part of government policy. Otherwise, politicians who, there are some of them, no one will fight for you. You have to fight for yourself. Then another thing, this is a policy document that I wrote. The pilots approved it. We've taken to Parliament. We've sold it even to all IMF and World Bank to ensure that the value of aviation, until now, Kenya is restructuring is part of the IMF conditions. So they understand the value. That is how I believed we should move. Then this chart basically is just to show the losses. Those ones we know about it. We have issues of losses, cash flows. Then all these things are resulting because aircrafts are parked. The decision-making process. And comparatively to Ethiopia, you can see Ethiopia by 2035, the way they have assumed is to double their destinations to 207 from 130 as we are shrinking. They also are planning to increase the aircraft to 271. They carried 65 million passengers, 3 million tons of cargo. You see, that is a lot of money. Just yesterday or the day before yesterday, they declared a revenue, not profit, revenue of $4.4 billion. Billion US. That's revenue. That's higher than our national budget. It's like 6.5 trillion Kenya shillings, right? Something like that. So an airline just next door can generate revenues higher than our total GDP. No, not profit. Of course, the profit might be very small. And on the engineering part, we had lost IASA, we had lost a lot of certifications during that time. That's the truth, because the engineers left. And I'll explain now why the reason why an engineer needs to sit in the board. So, for the way I summarize the challenges, and this is not being personal to an individual or anything, it's just, I find there's lack of passionate, competent board members with the relevant aviation skills. Again, very shockingly, there is no engineer in the board of Kenya. Not an aeronautical, nothing. So you understand your role. I've put engineers here, not because I'm an aeronautical, but this is critical. Then operational inefficiencies. Now, when you have the leadership, there is a challenge. Of course, you find the decision making now also becomes a problem. So now you choose the wrong aircraft, you choose the wrong route, decision making. Then customer care is not a priority. So you find we have, like the sales office of KQ had been closed, even SGR they open. Sales office at JKA, KQ sales office were closed until 2024. Can you imagine? COVID is done. Why would you close that? Okay. Then understaffed, the call center can't work. There's so many people who are unemployed, but you can't get somebody to pick your call. So you can see there's a serious leadership challenge. We can go to the next slide. Now, on this slide, let us not focus so much on the naming, but let's go on the skill so that you can understand what I'm saying. If you look at at the time of writing the report, the skill set of the people who are sitting in the board, you could see there was electrical, but this one I don't know whether it was commerce, economics, accounting, banking, international, political science, everything. Now, if you look at here, we don't have proper aeronautical engineering, flying, airline, they are not. We are heavy in accounting. And basically what happens, when you have so much, and this is a core, one of the heaviest things that we have so many people who have done accounting, but can they generate revenue? That is the problem. Is there sector representation? You see, let's go to the next slide. And that time I researched, I said, let me look at Delta Airlines, let me look at American Airlines, let me look at Japan Airlines, Lufthansa, and compare their boards to us. And you know, when you benchmark, because we are flying the same Dreamliner, this Dreamliner is in American Airlines, is in Lufthansa, is in UK, is in China, so let us benchmark everything. And as there we here the proposed governance is clearly based on data. So for the transport sector being technical, we need someone with airline experience. Then we need an engineer, somebody who truly has worked on these engines and certified, and he understands, because one of these engines is $40 million on a Dreamliner. So can you imagine if there is no maintenance results done, savings, or the wrong procedures are done, we lose a lot of money. Then you can see our horticulture over the years has been high, key revenue generation. So we need horticulture, meat exporters. Let me tell you something about meats that will shock you. Do you know Farmer's Choice cannot satisfy the demand of sausages of pork in Saudi Arabia? Yeah. The demand of pork in Saudi Arabia, in the expatriates, you know, they have expatriates. We cannot satisfy. Why? One is, okay, the biggest problem is the transport. There's no the logistical problem. There's no aircraft, cargo aircraft going there. Number two, information is not trickling down clearly from KQ and these organizations to entice farmers to tell them. So if we're able to communicate the information, the flour demand out there, the meat demand out there, and then from the board and inside KQ, we need this representation so that we as KQ now can transmit that information all the way to the people. Our KQ app should have two sides. Do you want ticket or do you want to export? Because export, that's when we make money. It has to be about money, money, money. And not just buying things from outside. Buying from outside, the country is losing and you're losing. But if you can export, each family can export one pig a day, or even one cow a day, or one goat a day. I am telling you, we still cannot meet the demand of Kenyan products out there. Then another thing, tourism and travel. We know very well we are lagging behind other countries. We have the potential. Financial services, re-export, remittance, and now remittance is very high. Diaspora. There's an article that I'd written in the Standard like 2 weeks ago. The diaspora remittance in Kenya for North America alone is $427 million a month. That is what they send their mother, maybe they pay their brothers school fees, the cousin, some small money. If we enticed the diaspora, there's nothing they cannot do for Kenya. The problem is that we don't have, I can propose, But now we need more of us to push good ideas. And there's a lot of calls for partnership, bringing new ideas. If we are saying we want new ideas, then we must walk the talk. Not just say we want new ideas, and then after this seminar, it was just taken notes and filed at the engineering, where's your safe deposit? Somewhere. We need to actually have these ideas put in. I will be speaking more on that. The next slide, we can go to the next slide. And now this one is a comparison, compare apples to apples. At the time I was doing my research, these were the board members. I'm not sure that they're still there for American Airlines. American Airlines was one of the oldest airlines. It came from Pan Am. After Pan Am, the Locapi, that is American Airlines. That's the company that came from there after it collapsed. So if you look at them, again, don't look so much at the name. I want you to look at the red points that I picked. I was highlighting when I was reading the document. I could see different skills, different representations from tourism, transport. Even you can start from the top. The chairman there, if you look at where he sits, this guy is a pilot. He's an aviator. If you look at the second person, what there for that, I wanted to highlight youth employment. That's one of the things. But you can see the third one. They sit museum science and Chicago Horticulture Society. So Chicago is one of the major hubs in the US. So they are giving data on where is the US exporting. US is one of the biggest food exporters in the world. Even they are fighting with China, you know that. They do export a lot of food. So you need that input in the board. You can see their School of Engineering, National Aeronautical, he's an aeronautical engineer. You cannot sit there. Craft food, Rackspace, air leasing. That's another thing, we have a problem. Then here, University of Denver, here, IASA, training. You can see there's somebody also there in American Airlines who sits in the board to assist in the training. Not in the training, but gives an input of how to grow your airline in terms of academic. Medical tourism. You can see the Indians have seen a gap we are not seeing. Medical tourism is a big thing. A lot of people from Somalia, Ethiopia, Congo, they come to be treated in Nairobi. So that's something to look at. Fortress transport infrastructure. This one I equated it to like the Ministry of Transport because to give data on the latest government policy. Museum, this one again tourism. So you can see what I was thinking is being mimicked in the US. And if you go to most of these other successful airlines, there's a lot of partnership and stakeholder engagement, but also relevant stakeholder engagement. Not just somebody who is being brought here and they're not relevant to the topic. Can go to the next. Now the second problem that I found, I said that if the organization, the board, what is bringing us money, then the board, let's go down now to the organizational structure. The Kenya's organizational structure, this is it. So you have the group MD who sits there, then head security, internal. This structure, without going too deep, it's a typical government structure. In every ministry, engineer can go there. Or in fact, even it's closer to a bank even. When you look at this structure, the only person here who is generating revenue is the chief commercial officer. But now we have another bigger problem. What happens? Each department is given a budget. And when you are given a budget, at the end of the year, most people want to show how much you have saved from the budget, true or false. If you have exceeded your budget, you look like the bad boy. But you see, in airline, you need to spend, they say you spend $1 million to get 1,000. Everyone here is holding. No one wants to be seen to explore, to try. And that is a fundamental problem. Now, let's go. Imagine guys of security are higher than revenue. You see now the revenue generation, you know, to get things moving, it's very, very difficult. And then there's no actual separate. You see, like here, can you see like a proper flight operations department or a proper engineering department? You see, there's none. You see, that is where the problem is. So sometimes, you know, people get upset, but I tell them, but it's a reality. You cannot have an airline where security guys are higher than engineering department. The engineering department does not have a clear-cut budget. It is the core. There is no cargo department. Can you see like a proper cargo department? There is no tourism representation. And this is now the second layer of our problem. Let's go to that one. So this is a problem. For everything that I show is a problem, I give a solution. We can go to the next one. So what am I proposing? I don't know they'll be able to read, but it's basically the same thing. So we have the flight operations, a clear department. There's a board who understands airline operations, proper ones. You know, like even winter operations. You know, sometimes people will try and talk with management. You know, like flying to New York, you need 4 pilots, and then you're landing in winter, and then you might divert. You know, some people are like, no, they can go 2, they can go 3. You know, if you have people who understand some of these operations, it's very easy to plan. Yeah? Even you can be able to give the proper information to KA, our proper experiences. Then, so flight operations will be in charge of pilots, cabin crew, and then now the new things that we need to have, like our good Malim said here, they have simulators. But for us now, we require like the Dreamliner simulator, the 737 simulator. We need, in fact, KQ, we can use the school as one of our training base. So all our pilots, now we have a flight training school that is under EASA, because already East African school already has the training, the structure. So now all we need is just to choose an airport somewhere out of Nairobi, somewhere like sea level. And then we have our pilots there, so they are trained there. And then also we can join with the military. So the planes that are bought, or the partnership or the people buy, those planes are busy. So if they are not flying, they are not being trained for the KQ pilots, they're also training the military. Because the initial training, the PPL is the same. So it's a cost-cutting, and you know, we standardize things, and then at least those students, even though, let's say we train 120 absorbed by KQ, but the others also have gone through a good training. Then greater cooperation with the KA. As I said, we need somebody from KA who should be sitting, not in the board level, but at least in the in the flight operation. Let's say this is a flight operation office, the director. This table here, we should have the chief pilot. There we should have cabin crew. We should have ground, KA, training. So everything that is required on flight operations, it is the information is seamless. They are already sitting in one, in one place. So information from flight operations all the way to reach the MD is quick. Then for engineering, here I took care of it. So here you can see set up GE. We work with GE, General Electric, which is also a diplomatic. We can use GE Boeing. Once we sign with them, we can offer them land. It's also in the airport design. So the other thing, the cargo and mail department work more with the horticulture societies and everyone. Tourism, also like Kenya, KWS, Kebobra, all those organizations. So that is basically the organizational structure that is can revive and rejuvenate. Because all these streams are revenue generation. This stream is bringing money. This is bringing money. Engineering can bring money. Like during COVID, Delta made, is it $1.3 billion on just engine overhauls of other airlines. So should there be COVID and all those things, that is a revenue generation stream. Then flight operations is also generating revenues in schools, training and everything, and also saving the people going there. Okay. Next. Then another thing, reviewing our mission and vision so that now people become focused. That is what we require, focus. Every single decision that should be made for the airline should be about, are we making money? Are we growing our cargo? Are we growing our tourism? Are we going to employ more people? You see, if we cannot answer those questions, then we don't need to do that program. Like we're investing in drones, I don't know what, all those. Yes, it's good, but first let's focus on the basics. That generates real money. Then this legal, accountability. It's a topic that is happening now in all, in Parliament, in the Senate. Even you could see the governors. Nobody wants accountability. Then number 5. Then the other problem that we have is our expenditure, costs. Now the leases is one of the, you've always had the leases. Just like a vehicle, one of our biggest problems, we should, if let's say engineering body wants to hire transportation vehicles, you should hire the easiest, should hire from Toyota Kenya, right? Let's say Toyota Kenya. But also, even though it's from Toyota Kenya, there is a depreciation. They cannot give you the same product or van year in year for the constant amount. It should depreciate. Even in banking, by the 5th year, the car is almost zero value. So that's one of our biggest problems and challenges we have. Equipment, maintenance, and overhaul. Again, engineering, you can see. That's engineering. The lack of proper engineering department becomes now a cost driver. Because this is a data, this is an IATA document. What is red on this side is above average for other airlines. What is below is what we spend less on and we should be spending more. So fuel ticketing, all those, but you can see now this depreciation, there are less, passenger services, less, even crew salaries are below, and station, where you should be serving your customers more, you're spending less. Can go now to the 6th. Now the 6th one now is where now we're talking about the new aircraft. People have to buy a new aircraft, not because of 2 reasons. One, fuel efficiency. If an aircraft can give you 14% fuel efficiency, it really increases your profits and cuts down your costs. So newer aircrafts, like that's why you see old aircrafts are always phased out after 15 years because of fuel efficiency. Number 2, customer experience. Most people want new things. Just like this engineering, you did not go to Karomaindo Hotel, you came here. You want new, fresh looking things. So those are the 2 primary reasons why people have to buy new aircrafts. But you don't have to buy them, you can lease them. So my proposal was use the latest 777 long range. We need to open our markets in North America, North America, sorry. Canada, the US, 4 or 5 other new destinations. And by the way, Ethiopia as a country, if you have been following the news, got a ban. First, if you just want to go and visit, you have to pay a $10,000 deposit. That now seriously affects them because you pay the ticket plus the $10,000. Now the US government has given them now another ban now of 0 immigration from Ethiopia. So all our competitors, in terms of aviation, the countries which have received the ban, if you read the ban, me when I read the ban, I'm looking for our competitor. So one is Ethiopia, the other competitor Egypt. So it will affect Morocco, South Africa. They have big problems. I'm not sure that I've received the ban. Senegal and also Rwanda. So we are at an opportune time to grow. And this ban has seriously hit their last 6 months report that came out. You can Google. When you go home, you Google. They say there, because what it resulted, I expected it will affect them like 3, 4, 5 months down the line. But within 3 days, they completely shut down their route to Atlanta. So that is the effect of the ban. Then internally they have a war, the Tigray war that you're aware of. Ethiopian Airlines actually, just like Kenyans don't know, they cannot make a profit within themselves. You see, like the way as we fly Nairobi, Kisumu, Nairobi, Mombasa, the airline Kenya makes money in these routes. It's over full. It's always full. But Ethiopian cannot make money within. That's because of the war. And also economically, they are way below us. So those are two problems that they are facing, and they cannot overcome them very easily. That's something now we should take advantage. Things are opening up. It's like God is opening the door for us. And then the other thing, these old aircrafts also, as they grow old, you can convert them to cargo. So you better choose a bigger jet. You know, there's a Brunel principle. The guy who started shipbuilding from wood to steel, yeah? He always said bigger is always better. Because for the same 2 pilots, they can carry 50 guys. The same 2 pilots can carry 200 guys, or the same 2 pilots can carry 400 guys. So you'd rather have 2 guys carrying 400 because you're putting them the same. And you'll carry a lot of cargo at the belly, and then you will also, you should never fly maximum. You should always fly, giving an allowance for, you should fly 85%, because when it reaches Christmas, how, you know, where will that capacity go? So that is basically my presentation. Now, just winding up. what is going to happen? Kenya is a preferred point of investment in Africa right now. That one I can guarantee you. Even the new money that is coming in for what are those IT or new investments, it is Kenya. Banks, everyone is flocking here. They want to buy Kenya. So we have the opportunity. So if KQ we revive it, even Amazon, we can be the preferred Amazon carrier in Africa. We can be preferred FedEx. We build for them their own, and then KQ, as you said, when revenues are down of passengers, we generate revenues of cargo. Also, I wanted in the design, I thought we could have our own Amazon kind of app. So you say cargo, export or import, and then this other one for the tickets. And then our embassies are the biggest here in Africa, UN and everything. So it's something, engineer, I'll give you the proposal, we'll sit down. Let us build a cargo center for them. Sometimes, like when the US president travels, it comes with a big entourage. Where have those trucks, planes, choppers of theirs going to be parked? And the American government can pay this small money for them. So they come, they leave us some good color. So that is what I was saying. And then we don't know the demand of the future. Why don't we leave provision for that runway? We don't know. Now, engineer, I just wanted to say something. Just in Yamusho, for the terminal. In the US, for the last, I watched in December, November, there are a couple of accidents that have been happening in the X design. And the only limitation that the X design has, at the intersection, it becomes difficult to park an aircraft. At the X, where the X is, the V, there, at that point, which aircraft will you park? And my suggestion, you can humbly look. If you look at Dubai, Emirates, they carry, I think they're the second biggest passenger terminal, passenger tunnel, and also London Heathrow. It's a linear design. Why? Because you're able to park everyone in a straight line. And at the corner here, you can utilize this corner. And then here you can utilize pipes, everything is in a straight line. But the X design, the only weakness is that they have that. And then in times of night rain, pilots may not be able to see they don't see the wingtips actually. So you believe you're on the line. But the problem is, should there be at the V, somebody went and brought in a 777 there, and it was designed to take only the 737. You never know, human is swear. At night, parkings are taken, and then a Turkish airline comes, and then KA says, the controller says, just tell that Turkish to go there. They park a big one where they are not supposed to. And then that's when clipping of wings and tails have been happening a lot. And something you can have a look at. That's something of a consideration of a design, engineer. You can probably think. And just last mwisho tu, we can raise money through diaspora funding to do all these things. That 427 diaspora right now per year, they are remitting 800 billion Kenya shillings per year. So surely, what can they do? So that is the end of my presentation.
Great. Let's put our hands together. Those are practical, presentations that can be adopted in the designs, current and in the future. Thank you very much for your presentation. And as he says, just let's give him that hand of applause. Thank you very much.